Alright, so today I'll actually be talking about one of the SpongeBob episodes, which I do believe many people consider this as the worst. If you don't know this episode is called Fools in April. So, it's a SpongeBob SquarePants episode from season 1. When Squidward is actually fed up over SpongeBob's amusement to April Fool's Day, he decides to play a nasty prank on him. Okay, so what happens in the story? Sorry about that. So, when SpongeBob wakes up, realizing it was April Fool's Day, Squidward sees him and wonders if SpongeBob was so pleased about, until he looks at the calendar and realizes it was April 1st, also known as April Fool's Day. It was actually SpongeBob's favorite holiday. Squidward had feared the worst to come. When Squidward fakes a call from being sick, Mr. Krabs says there's an art collector in the office who wants to buy Squidward's art, and they might act the artist of the month. When Squidward actually rushes to the Krusty Krab, it was actually a silly prank by SpongeBob and Mr. Krabs. But SpongeBob actually pursues him to stay, but not pulling any further pranks on him. When SpongeBob continues to prank the customers, it was actually harmless, but Squidward got carried away with it. The customers don't take offense to SpongeBob's pranks, even though they're harmless and playful in nature. But because SpongeBob is actually a playful sponge, he tends to prank people. But these pranks are harmless. For example, there was actually an ice cube in there. And as well as this, SpongeBob actually pranked the customers from the Krusty Krab. So it's the question goes like this: why do you really think SpongeBob did this harmless prank? Why didn't Squidward do it for him? Like that. Okay, so for Fools in April, SpongeBob apparently did this, And you know what I mean? He actually did this to his drink and just sorted out the spoons. But once Squidward actually had this plan to show SpongeBob that that's a real prank, Squidward actually set up a trap attached to an anchor which was suspended from the ceiling and squirted a blob of mustard in the middle. SpongeBob cleans it up. However, SpongeBob actually gets caught by the rope and hangs upside down. But when he falls into the ground, Squidward carries the garbage bag and poor SpongeBob goes down, causing him to cry. The customers thought it was funny, but it was actually too harsh and nasty. It was also a cruel and disgusting prank as well. So when the customers felt sorry for SpongeBob, they apparently go to his house. But because SpongeBob's pranks were actually funny and harmless and meant to make people laugh, Squidward's prank was actually cruel and to hurt and humiliate SpongeBob so he can laugh at him. So after that, when Squidward goes into SpongeBob's house, he apologizes to him with an apology note. But then SpongeBob told Squidward not to tell anyone. They all say April Fool's was actually fabricated by this. When Squidward states that it was actually fooling them, he runs away to his house while laughing maniacally. It caused SpongeBob to ask, what will we do without Squidward? Ending this episode. So what do I think about this episode? You see right here what Squidward actually did to SpongeBob. It was totally cruel. I can't believe Squidward would do such a thing like that. This episode was actually generated as April Fool's. And when it was the beginning of 2020, Nickelodeon in the United States actually broadcasted this episode and Neptune Satellite on April 1st, making both episodes finally extremely rare to find on TV. So actually, Nickelodeon SpongeBob's home channel was created on April 1st, 1979. It's made the episode air during the 21st anniversary. In real life, SpongeBob had given Gary salted shells, but it's actually dangerous in real life for sea snails as well. So eventually what I was gonna say is I just say what Squidward did was totally cruel and bad to SpongeBob, and basically Squidward would have just like laughed it off. He would have ignored it, you know. He would have just moved on, you know. Like SpongeBob's pranks were actually harmless, and it's only meant for people to laugh. But if it was like a real actual prank, it can hurt someone, you know. Like I seriously mean, pranks could be fun, but they can also be very dangerous in real life. So eventually, in this episode, Fools in April, there's another question I really want to ask for that. So why do you think Squidward decides to teach SpongeBob what a real April Fool's joke is? Well, eventually, the reason why I want to say this is that SpongeBob did this is because, one, I would just say Squidward just called SpongeBob a little sausage, which he meant this as a good prank, but it's not a prank, you know. So basically what I would just say is this: Squidward would have thought about himself, and not only that, he should have accepted SpongeBob's pranks, you know, like that. Now Fools in April was actually kind of a good episode, but I feel bad for SpongeBob in this episode because, you know, that was seriously dangerous, and SpongeBob would have gotten himself hurt, or he would have gotten himself in the hospital. This is the kind of thing I don't want anyone to see, you know, like, I don't get why Squidward had to do all these kinds of pranks. These pranks are like kind of harmless, and I'll just say in my opinion that it's probably because SpongeBob just did this as a little prank. Now this is really unacceptable for all the Krusty Krab customers as well. They wanted to comfort SpongeBob, but eventually what I was going to say is that Squidward was the one who did all of these. But why was he the one responsible? Well, the reason why he was responsible is because, one, he did this prank just to get SpongeBob out of the way, you know. I seriously mean that it's kind of the worst thing people would normally do in order to play this prank. Now, playing pranks are harmless and fun, but some pranks can also be dangerous. Like, I give you an example. Tying people onto a rope and landing them in a garbage bag is really unacceptable. Squidward would have gone to prison, you know. He would have gone to prison and paid SpongeBob's hospital bills. But luckily for that, SpongeBob didn't get injured. There was only a little grubby like stain right here, so SpongeBob actually went home crying, in my opinion. I just say that Squidward's prank has gone a bit too far. Despite him being the grumpiest neighbor, I'll just say it's like bad, you know. I'll just say like Squidward is the one trying to play all these pranks, you know. But even though SpongeBob is a bit childish at times, people still like him, you know. He's just childish, and he likes to play pranks, you know. But this doesn't mean that Squidward can do a lot of those pranks just because of this. I just say it's like seriously bad, and it's seriously like unacceptable for Squidward to do such a thing, especially when he does all these kinds of things like pranks or stuff. Squidward would have thought to himself, is this prank good? Is this prank bad? Well, according to my opinion, this prank was seriously bad by Squidward. Putting him in a trash bin and tying poor SpongeBob out, it's not okay. It's not really like acceptable, cause I just say it definitely did break my heart, you know. Okay, there's not much I can talk to you about this episode, but happy April Fools, and remember to play safe, okay?